All right, it is 6 o'clock. It is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. We'll call our meeting to order. Start off with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have the roll call.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister, Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Next is the approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Holm,
Second.
a motion by Lyon, seconded by Rickrell. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Okay, item 5 is public participation. Do we have anyone in the audience who'd like to get up and address the council? Yes, please, come up.
When you come up, sir, if you don't mind, please identifying first and last name for the minutes record here, please.
My name is Rick Kegeman. So I just got a couple questions. On the 10-year street improvement, I'm curious where we're at on that because next to my house, I have like a gravel pit because of that water main break. And I was just curious when that's going to get patched up.
What, whereabouts?
On Summit, 602 Summit, yeah. I was just curious.
That their patch, sir, is not part of the 10-year street improvement plan. That will be
Okay.
done by City La Cruz as soon as the blacktop plants open up.
Okay, okay, perfect, thank you. The next thing is I noticed Friday night, the tornado siren by the high school, it spins, but it does not have any sound.
Okay,
I'm not sure who that goes to. Next thing is the wastewater treatment plant. I noticed on our bill, we were being charged $5 already. I'm just curious, has the work been started already? That we're being charged $5 already?
that's a mandatory charge by the DNR.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Has the work been started? Well, we've got the bids in.
Okay,
We're having a meeting this week, first project meeting on it. I believe it's this week, isn't it?
Yes, and we've been engineering that since 2019 and 2020 as well. This has been a long time coming.
Oh, yeah. So it's in the works.
okay. And I was just surprised there was no insert in there letting the people know what that was for, if
Okay.
people don't know what it's for. Yeah. And I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Is there anybody else who'd like to get up and address the council? Anybody in Zoom land? If not, we'll move on. Next is our presentations, and we have the Parks Master Plan presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to take a few minutes of your time today to discuss the highlights of the Parks Master Plan, of which you should all have a copy in front of you. And I believe Josh will put it up on the screen as well. Before I discuss it, I did want to give thanks to Josh Bolt for helping assemble the document and do some of the writing on there. I appreciate that, as well as Scott Warren at the Y for hosting one of the public input sessions. Scott was instrumental in helping us focus on long and short-term goals, as well as collating the data. So thanks to Scott as well. The document that you see in front of you was produced over several months in the late fall and even into this year. We held several public input sessions. As I mentioned, we had good turnout at the Y, and we had some radio spots as well. So we did get some very good feedback from the citizens of Maquoketa. And so I'd like to highlight the top 5 things that we obtained as far as what the people are wanting in the parks. Number 5 was we'd like the parks of Maquoketa to be the envy of the area. We hear stuff about other cities, surrounding cities, what they got going on, and the vibe is that, you know, we want Maquoketa to have that feel. We want people from Cascade coming here and talking about Maquoketa parks. Number 4 was Horseshoe Pond, making that a gateway park due to its location, entrance to the city. We think there's a lot of potential there. We'd like to rehab the the fishing spots, get those improved, the playground areas as well. Everyone's proud of that campground, so we'd really like to see that be a real shining star. Number 3 is connecting all the parks with trails. I think we're making progress there. I know it's part of the city's overall goal to get everything connected via trails, so we are making progress there and look forward to continuing that. Number 2 is an item close to my heart, is upgrading or adding to the city's existing sports facilities. I coach at the Y, my daughter's soccer, and would love to see a dedicated soccer field. And the city's got a lot of great baseball fields. There's a lot of potential there. And so we'd really like to see to get them up to tournament quality. So that's a very important item. And then the number 1 item, would anyone like to take a guess on that one? Public pool and splash pad is still top on the public's list. And I know it is for mine. I know what the people I talk to anecdotally are excited about that prospect. So those were the top 5 things from the citizens' feedback. Now, how do we get there? How do we accomplish these things? Well, we've got some things planned. With Josh's help, we're going to increase, and with the help of this document, increase our grant writing and look to bring additional funds into the park through that. We also have, thanks to the city council, they doubled our CIP to 30 to 60,000. So we want to thank you for that. We're looking forward to, we're already getting excited about all the projects that we can put that money towards. And then we're trying to come up with some new ideas. I met with Josh already today. We're going to be looking into auctioning off possibly the naming rights to the parks. You know, they have pretty generic names. We all know that the parking lots are in dire shape. So the thought was that, you know, if we could raise some good capital through that, we can put it into there. So that's the how. I'm going to now highlight some of the things that have been done and what we plan on doing. We've finished the skate park up. We've recently all new fencing in there. We've got a nice ADA compliant ramp, along with some locking gates now that we can keep that thing locked at night and keep it in good shape. So I'd encourage you to check that out. That's looking really nice. We're going to be putting up for bid, rehabbing the fields at Grove. We're hoping to get that done this spring, at least the smaller field. We're gonna get that edged out, new lime, and really get that looking nice. As sort of a long-term goal to get Grove really looking nice. And then one other thing that along that Grove, Chris Eric and I have already started some discussions about and planning about extending the sidewalk along Grove, making that ADA compliant, better access for that, and getting rid of that horrible looking fence as well. And then one other thing too is the Weld Academy over by the high school is currently constructing some new benches and some trash cans for us. So they're gonna be all metal and look really nice, and the long-term plan for that is we're gonna ask them to make 2 to 3 every year so that we can slowly replace the aging benches. So that's what we have done now and what we have planned. That's my overall summary of that. So we asked the Parks Board's worked very hard on this document, and so we ask you to approve that tonight. And Chris here, did you want to add anything else to it?
You hit basically everything on that.
I'll throw it open for questions, if anyone has any.
My only question is, you made a comment about the fence on Grove Street. I know it doesn't look the best, but we have to have a fence there for kids not running out on that street. So
Correct.
if you want to change something, I'm for that, but there has to be a fence there.
Yeah, the plan was, it can't be done in the short term because of the baseball season's about to start. So the thought was, in the fall. But yes, we agree there should be one. And it would be all new, once we put in the sidewalk, it would have to mesh with that. So that is the general plan.
Anybody else have any questions?
No, other than just to thank you guys for
all your work on this. I think we've needed a plan for a long time, and it's good to see one come together. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it.
You're welcome. We're excited about it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, we move on to item 7. It's our consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of the March 20th, 2023 regular city council meeting. Bills payable through March 20th, 2023 in the amount of $1,023,356.55. A renewal of a Class C retail liquor license and Sunday sales and outdoor sales filed by Bill's Tavern. A renewal of a Class E liquor license filed by KJ's Convenience and Deli.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Lyon,
Second.
seconded by Holm. We have no discussion, take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rick Earl,
Yes.
Okay, item 8 is a public hearing. It's a public hearing regarding the proposed fiscal year 23-24 budget and CIP. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I imagine most of the audience here tonight's here because of that, perhaps not. So maybe we'll open up to the public after we discuss a little bit and move on. So this has been an especially unique year to budget, especially in January. We were notified by the state that the valuation rules are changing because of an alleged miscalculation from several years ago. So that caused Andrea and I to have to essentially repause and reestimate what we were doing in the forward year. We brought in 4 different finance and personnel committee meetings, each initially talking about the health of our major funds, and then moving into the capital improvement plan, and then getting into the nitty-gritty, talking about taxes, of course, and what we'll set our tax rate at to raise the amount of a levy that we feel it's necessary to operate. And so overall, when we talk about total property taxes collected, the total property taxes collected on this proposal goes up 2.43%. Our value did not go up as a community, at least on what this is based on. The next year, the letters that came out last week about assessed values going up, be a totally different scenario. But this information that's in front of you is not based off of that. And so one of the concerning things that I had as a manager was trying to speak with our finance committee about the best path forward. What's the best strategy when you're looking at utilities as high as they've been, or insurance as high as it's been and growing? What do we do, and how do we raise the funds, and how do we keep a lower tax rate comparably? So it was a position of the finance committee, and they're welcome to join in these statements, that if we're gonna make a jump, we should do it because the state's gonna continue to depress taxes any way they can. They have their state income tax plan that they're depressing. They're continuing to want to control cities as rollback numbers for what we're even able to tax, and that's okay. But at some point, this really starts to affect us, and I become extremely concerned about where to start thinking about budget cuts. I was asked by the finance committee, can you go back to the budgets and trim the fat? My direct and immediate response is, I did it last year. You know, we lowered taxes by 6.21% last year. We made cuts. We had department head meetings in October and November. These have been very difficult conversations, but they're ones that we've had. Unless we're sitting here answering, well, maybe we're gonna have 9 police officers or less services or less staff, I don't know where else to hide in this budget right now. Next year, that might be a different story, but we'll see what the state does for its controls. I do think it says a lot in taxes collected that we're growing by just 2.43%, but the rate proposal in front of you jumps from 13.89 to 14.72. That's a lot. And I had follow-up meetings around that. That does terrify me, but I think it speaks to our value concerns as a town, as I've mentioned. As I mentioned, Finance Committee wanted me to survey out other managers at this point, and I did so probably about 2 months ago. And besides Clinton County, that's the second page of the attachment that you all have at this point, is a survey and some notes about what's happening out there in the communities. And it's not good. I just came back from a manager's training last Thursday. It's not a lot of kind words going around out there right now about what's happening at the state level, and they want us to be lean, and they're pushing us into a corner to do so. But what you're gonna continue to experience is a proposal like this, hopefully the same or less next year. But this is the environment that I'm working in, this is our proposal, and this is what we as the Finance Committee think is the best appropriate move for this budget. I don't know if Councilman Simonson or Councilman Lyon have any additional words to that.
No, I haven't gotten much feedback from the public, but yeah, I mean, this is what we're dealing with as the state continues to make it harder and harder for cities and counties to meet their budgets, right? They're just pushing us and pushing us, and we keep cutting and cutting, and I think it's pretty good when we can run the city next year for $67,000 more than we did this year, when you consider that all the inflationary pressures that we're up against for various costs and for salaries and all the things that go along with that. So this is where we're at.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. The biggest issue I have is the wastewater treatment plant, and then now us having to do this. But as you can tell from the second page of the notes, we debated it and talked about it for several meetings on what area towns are doing, and we're trying to put ourselves above some of the other communities and not financially wise do that, but the parks and, you know, the Y and different things like that, street repairs and things, so it all costs money, so.
We have the sewer treatment plant project coming up, which is a mandatory project. There's some things we cannot just hide from. So we have to get cash. We have to be able to make it work. So, do you have anything else to add?
I do not. I mean, we have an abnormal amount of visitors tonight. I think it'd be appropriate, since it is a public hearing, to encourage people to speak if they wish to.
Okay, yeah. Does anybody here want to address the council about this? Anybody in Zoom land? It's your last chance.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Simonson, seconded by Lyon, to close the public hearing. There's no discussion. Take the roll.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rick Earl.
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
All right, well, we go to item B. That's a public hearing regarding the adoption of the proposed 2023 City-Wide Urban Revitalization Plan. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So this is, well, the beginning of formal adoption of this urban revitalization plan, which is not technically new, but not known at all in our city code. And so when we looked at either refreshing it or just started from scratch and making it better, we opted to enhance it. And so we've taken quite a bit of calls in City Hall about what this is, and the most frequent question is, does this mean cash in your pocket? It does not. But it does mean, though, that when you have your building permit and you've done your concrete patio out back and the assessor says, well, now your home's worth $10,000 or $15,000, if you're a resident, single-family home, you're gonna be exempt from that increase, that $10,000, $15,000, whatever they decide, for 5 years. That's a good benefit. So that's 100% exemption, up to a value of $75,000 in improvement. That's a lot of improvement all at once, but hoping that you, the council, the public, can view this, that every time you come in for a building permit and try to improve some property, that there's just a fringe downstream benefit to improving property. This includes residential with 3 or more dwelling units. So there are homes in Maquoketa that do look aged and perhaps haven't had siding or updated porches and these things that might be 3 or 4 unit homes being rented out. This might be a way for them to make improvements on the place and then meet the requirements for that multifamily scale you see here in this agenda. And those are some significant savings if they're making investments on their property. So that's all we're trying to do, is put that together for the public to see that there's a benefit to improving a home or their investments in town. And so this is a public hearing that's required in the process of it, and then there's a resolution to adopt it and an ordinance to start the adoption in this agenda.
Okay. Well, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody here want to address this on that?
Yes, please.
Rick Hageman. So a question on this, I've been doing some reading and it said we possibly may be able to, so we just bought our house in August and it's had improvements done already to it. Is this going to benefit us? Like I've been reading?
In what part of the year did you do the
It
improvements?
was done in 2016, I believe.
I don't believe it would qualify, no.
No? Okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address this or have questions? Yes, come up, please. Yep. We can't hear you if you don't. Please give us your name.
Joe Martin.
Okay.
And my problem is, our son had a property, it's not here in Maquoketa, but he had one in Andrew. And so the house next door was pretty dilapidated and his was really nice. So he had to pay higher taxes. They said the reason his taxes were higher because that was another rental property that was kept not in good shape. And so he says, well, I guess I'll damage mine so I won't have to pay as much tax on it. So these people need an incentive to fix up their property.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? I'd accept a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion by Lyon, seconded by Rickrell. We have no discussion. Take the roll.
Alinger, yes.
Mm.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
All right, we've now made it to old business. Item A is a resolution adopting our fiscal year 23-24 budget and CIP.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Lyon,
Second.
seconded by Holm. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger, yes.
Okay, that resolution passes. Item B is a resolution adopting the 2023 City-Wide Urban Revitalization Plan.
So moved.
Okay, we had a motion by Rickrell,
Second.
seconded by Holm. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger, yes. Holm,
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Item C is item C is an ordinance designating the 2023 City-Wide Urban Revitalization Areas in the City of Maquoketa. This is the first reading. Do you have anything to add to this, Josh?
I do not, no, thank you.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Lyon,
Second.
seconded by Alinger. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger, yes. Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. We made it to number 10, which is new business. Item A is a resolution setting Monday, April 17th at 6 PM as a public hearing date for the sale of city airport property being 3.59 acres. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I think I detailed it well enough in the background here, but as of the action from the previous council meeting, we are restarting the process to initiate the sale of this 3.59 acres of properties out at the airport. I provided a basic visual of what a property layout may look like out there, just to kind of show an example, and that's on page 5. But this would set a public hearing, inviting comment on the sale of that land, a requirement to sell land for the public.
Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
We don't have any measurements here. Saying 3.59 acres, not having ever been a farmer, I'm not real up on what that size would be. On how far is this out from the road and end to end?
I don't have the survey in front of me. It's its own parcel and available. Nor am I educated enough to look at this aerial and say this is, 100 feet. I can tell you that T-hanger building that you're looking at on the airport side is probably at least 40 feet if you're looking at this visual. And the length clearly isn't an issue here when you consider the shape of this property and what's buildable. At our last council meeting when we were exploring options, I did consult with the zoning and authorities that would approve a residence out there, and this would fit. So in terms of their lot needs and distances from lines, this is largely what a prospective buyer would be looking at here. Now, the FAA would just want to make sure that your structure is under 40 feet from the back of this lot. So, you know, barring a silo, you know, a ranch, oversized ranch is likely what would be going on this property.
Having driven out there and looked at this property this afternoon, if the flags that are in the field there are the survey flags that I assumed they were, that's not really far from the road, even at the highest point of this triangle here. And I'm thinking, if you put a property within 20 feet back from the road, you're gonna have a cornfield about 15, 20 foot out your back door.
So last
Yeah, I
week,
don't think this would be a very good setup for a residential property. I really don't. Just from the looks of it, what I saw, if the flags are indicating the survey lines, I don't see how it's gonna work out very good for anybody.
and those were locations for a soil test.
Okay?
Those weren't lot lines
Okay.
at all.
I was just trying to guess how big is this?
You can go online, but to me, as a council, we're trying to get the most out of that money for the airport. So if somebody wants to buy it and they are gonna offer the 57,000, I don't know why we'd question it. That's their business. But you can go online and get the dimensions as well. But I'm not gonna not try to sell it for that.
Property appraised?
57.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Lyon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Simonson. If we have any more discussion, take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rick Earl.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item B is a resolution setting April 17th as the public hearing date for 50% budget reimbursement benchmark review for the 20 CVN 040 Innovate 120 Building Facility Improvement Grant. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. There might be a day in the future where you don't have to say CDBG so many times. But this represents a couple reporting requirements that we have on active CDBG grants. My first year here prior, we did one of these about mid-year for, well, I forget which CDBG project now, but these are for our active ones, 120 South Main Street and the YMCA. This is just a routine requirement for it.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Lyon,
Second.
seconded by Holm. Any discussion? Go ahead and take the roll.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rick Earl,
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Item C is a resolution setting April 17th as the public hearing date for 50% budget reimbursement benchmark review for the 20 CVN 034 YMCA Community Facilities Improvement Grant.
So moved.
Motion by Lyon, seconded by Alinger. We have no discussion. Take the roll.
Alinger.
Yes.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rick Earl,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Item D is a resolution setting April 17th as the public hearing date for considering approval to apply for State of Iowa 2023 CDBG Upper Story Housing Agreement on behalf of 114 East Platt Street. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This one deserves some explanation. 114 East Platte was a part of the Facade East project. They bowed out of the program, I believe, because they're interested in this CDBG program. The owner of this property, frankly, hasn't communicated with the city in about a week and a half or so in ECIA. There was unfortunate passing in the family, so they've been given some space to gather things again. But in any case, as we were agenda building last week, our attorneys told us there's no harm in setting a public hearing date by resolution. And then if it doesn't make it to a public hearing, it's okay not to have it. Ultimately, a CDBG grant like this needs to follow and model 120 South Main Street, where if someone is interested in that CDBG-backed money for upper story housing, meaning in this case, turning a large open dance hall into 4 or 6 apartments, for example, they need to provide the local match, just like what you've seen in the Innovate 120 project. So with those conditions, we're hoping to gather some more information before the next meeting, and we'll present it to you. I hope to have more detail, and if it's a no, you won't see this again.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Simonson. Seconded by Alinger. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Holm,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
Okay, that motion does pass. Next, we move on to item E, which is a resolution approving the purchase of a new Toyne Rural Pumper Fire Truck.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll invite Chief Tranel up to speak if I miss anything on the mark here, but I think we'll reserve that moment for a little bit. So there's a few things happening here. One, it's a 1999 fire engine you're replacing or proposing to replace. It's had significant repairs. It continues to weigh on the budget. And just like the dump truck and plow attachments that we approved last year, this one's even worse for time. This is 18 to 24 months out. And so most of the balance has been built up in the fire department capital improvement plan to purchase this truck. And every year you contract with the townships surrounding Maquoketa, you receive money that's their expectation that that money's being used to fund purchases for fire protection, brush trucks, rural pumpers, an engine such as this one to make sure water gets to where it needs to go. And as of next year, we're looking at a $408,000 balance. That's short a little bit of the $497, of course. And so we're gonna be proposing we sell the 1999, which may provide another $25,000 in support. And Toyne is offering us a $14,000 discount if we do 50% now, 50% later. And so that 50% later is as late as fiscal year 24-25 when you piece the dates together. And so this was an interesting conversation because the fire department has had some good experiences with Toyne. It's been a good product for them. It's their preferred brand if they're gonna have a brand. I don't know all the others, they would. But this is something that they felt it was a worthy pursuit. They organized a truck committee to look at all the available specs and all the available trucks and find the best deal possible for them given these CIP balances. And then we checked it with Sourcewell because Toyne came to us through Sourcewell, which is a government-run cooperative purchasing agreement through Minnesota. I don't know if any of you have experience of working through Sourcewell, but they essentially took our proposal that was given to us by Toyne, and they compared it against their purchasing agreement and made sure we weren't being, I guess, misled in any way, and that the discounts were there. So we feel pretty comfortable where we're at in this proposal, and it gets the ball started on receiving a fire engine, possibly 2 years from now. And I think that there's a fear of waiting that you might experience 5 or 10 more percent and a cost increase, and that's, I know, on Chief Tranel's mind. So with your support and possibly some conversation, I'd like to open it up for some questions on this, and if you have anything for Chief Tranel or myself, feel free to ask.
I have a question, and this has nothing to do with my support of this purchase, but just my own curiosity. What's the capacity of this vehicle?
Okay, so thank you for the question. So please clarify with the capacity, meaning?
Water capacity?
Water capacity, this will have a 1,000-gallon tank on it.
Thank you.
Same as what we currently have.
Just
and what we
curiosity.
would be replacing.
How long, excuse me, how long would a 1,000-gallon water tank last fighting, say, a barn fire?
Well, if everything's running, I think we've got a 1,500-gallon minute pump, so less than a minute.
Ooh.
But in reality, maybe 5, because we're only gonna run one or two hand lines,
Yeah.
not a master stream and stuff like that, but
So you're confident that could at least bring it under control a little bit?
well, that, again, we're running with that currently.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
we
okay.
also have 2 tanker trucks that are 2,000 gallons apiece. So when we respond to a rural structure fire, we have 5,000 gallons of water.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Lyon, seconded by Rickrell. If we have no more discussion, take the roll.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Coolman.
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
Holm.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution was approved. Item F is a resolution rejecting all bids received for the South Main Lighting Project and directing a rebidding. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. County and city are both interested in lighting the South Main project, trail, new street, from about Bullocks to the Walmart intersection. That's a mutual interest. We had an unfortunate bidding experience where, last week we consulted with our city attorney about the best way forward. And it's their experience that if we turn down a bid offer of this size, it's important for the city council to formally acknowledge rejecting bids and then extending out bidding to possibly gather a better bid offer that's out there for us.
Okay. When do we plan to try to go out for bids again?
Immediately,
Okay.
How many lights does this entail?
12,
12? Thank you.
spaced about 175 feet apart, correct, Frank? Yep.
Motion to reject the bid?
Okay, we have a motion by Simonson,
Second.
seconded by Coleman. If we have no discussion, take the roll.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Coolman.
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
Holm.
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
We make it to item 11, which is reports and communications. Do we have anything from any of the council members? Okay, city manager?
I really don't. I think that, just want to thank Public Works and the PD for being helpful with the weather this week. And we were very much aware that those Platt Street name signs were a problem, and it has been agreed that they're going to replace those with the correct hardware. This predated the storm. And, the few of them are probably in the land of Oz at this moment, but we haven't been notified that any siding or windows were struck, but I just wanted to let you know that Platt Street is again well underway, the final finishings of it. And that was kind of an embarrassing moment, but it was one that was resolved before the storm. So it's just kind of yet another small but visual black eye for us.
Okay. Anything else?
This here Wednesday is our first pre-con for the spring startup, for everybody's information.
Yeah, that's for Platt Street?
Right, correct.
All right. We have no executive session, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Rickrell, seconded by Coleman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.